This is Micornus, Phokane, the leader and the founder of Young Men Empowerment Forum. We are wrapping it up today with this topic that speaks about extraordinary leader, developing you as a young man to become an extraordinary leader. I just want to start with a quote from John Maxwell. He says, "A leader is one who knows the way, goes the way, and shows the way." Can I repeat that? A leader is the one who knows the way, he goes the way, and he shows the way. That is John C. Maxwell's quote, and close quote. But today I want to speak about visionary thinking for a moment. And as I wrap up this topic, I believe that it will help you to understand that to become an extraordinary leader, you need to have what we call visionary thinking. Extraordinary leaders are visionary thinkers. And without visionary thinking, you cannot be an extraordinary leader. And I want you to be aware of that as a young man, because as we teach you to become an extraordinary leader, being visionary in thinking will make you, to set you apart from your peers, apart from your friends, apart from your colleagues as well, and you'll become a better person. You'll become extraordinary. Now, be a visionary thinker, and that's the way to become an extraordinary leader. How do you do that? You set bold visions. And I've said in the past lessons, that you become a risk taker. Now, risk taking also goes with what we call setting bold visions, setting bold ambitions, things that may look like they cannot be achieved. If you remember in the previous sessions as well, I spoke about an example of somebody who was to invent an aircraft. That while every mode of transport was on the ground, donkey cars, and some of the people walking and so on, all the mode of transport was on the ground. But this particular individual, who I don't know whose name is, decided, I want to create a mode of transport who will fly on the skies. And that's a very ambitious vision. Very ambitious. It's also take boldness to do that, because if you're going now to violate the laws of gravity, and you're going to say, I'm going to create a mode of transport that will fly on the ground, while you yourself, you can jump, you cannot stand even for a minute on the atmosphere. You cannot. But you realize that, but still you still say, I want to create something that will fly and carry people and travel on the skies for long distance, quicker as well. That's amazing. It's what we call setting bold visions. Now, I want you as a young man to start dreaming big. Start setting bold visions. Start having dreams that are bigger than you. Now, if you want to set dreams and visions that are bigger than you, you sometimes have to ignore some things in your life. You have to ignore your family background, number one. Because your family background may limit you and say, but you are a son of so-and-so. You are a son of this family, and this family has not even reached matric. There's nobody who studied that far in the family. There's nobody who has ever thought out of the box in this family. When you look at that background, it may look very discouraging. That you have to ignore. Second thing, you have to ignore also the place where you were born. Because sometimes you're born from a place that is very primitive. A place that nothing good came out of. A place that when you look at, nobody is actually civilized. Nobody is actually thinking out of the box. There's none who's known amongst the people in that village, wherever you grew up. And if you're going to look at that, that becomes limitation. Now, I want to emphasize that limitations are actually coming from environments. They're coming also from backgrounds as well. But limitations can also come from people, because the people that you hang around with, they're going to be determinants whether you are able to set bold visions or not. So therefore, it is very important as a young man that you become careful of who you keep company of. You become careful of who become part of your life. You become careful of who become your body. Because you cannot just be a body with everybody. If you are dreaming big, If you want to set bold visions, if you want to become a visionary thinker, so please set yourself apart. You may be lonely for a while, away from friends, lonely for a while, away from people that you thought they are part of you. But remember that some people will limit you. Some people will delay your life. Some people will delay your visionary thinking and make you ordinary instead of becoming extraordinary. Now, as a young man, set bold visions. And don't care who says what, because there are many of your peers that will discourage you of the bold visions that you set. When you share them with them, they might say, but who do you think you are? They may share and say, but you're from such a village. They may say, but you're just like us. You're a human like us. And they discourage you. And when they try to discourage you, I want you to set yourself apart. Separate yourself from them. Make sure that you dream these bold visions. And you set these bold visions for a purpose. And say, I want to become a better person in my life. And therefore, I will walk away from the peers that are discouraging me. I want to build a life that's extraordinary because I want to be an extraordinary leader. I can't be ordinary anymore. Set bold visions. Secondly, inspire innovation. I've spoken about innovation earlier. That when we talk about innovation, we talk about creativity of mind. Thinking crazy things in your minds. Things that may look like they're not possible. The impossibilities can become possible. And I want to remind you as well that you are made in the image of God, young men. And I want you to remember that God never fails. And anything God can do. And also remember also the life of Adam in the Bible. That Adam was an extraordinary man. So you can be extraordinary. Don't limit yourself in this world that is limited by the limitations of what you see in your eyes, by the limitations of what you've had from other people, from limitations that you've seen in your family. So make yourself like Adam, who has been able to name all the animals in the world. And I want to mention that when he named them, he remembered them all after that. And beside naming them, the naming was actually instilling some personality in those animals. So in other words, when he says this is a lion, he actually instilled the roaring of a lion in there. He has instilled what we call a carnivorous attitude there. So when he said this is a dog, it actually adopted to bark because of the naming. So I want you to understand that, because if you start to understand that Adam didn't just give names, what he did, he gave personalities as well. So in other words, every single animal behaved that way because of the name that Adam gave to it. And that's innovation at its best. And I want you to inspire innovation as a young man. You are extraordinary. You can do extraordinary things. You cannot limit yourself to what you see in your eyes. You cannot limit yourself to what you've been told to be. You cannot limit yourself by the background of your family. So I want you to rise above that and inspire innovation in your life. And say, I'm going to be a new person. I'm going to do things that nobody has done. And I'm having these dreams. And I want to put these bold visions in front of me. But I want to inspire innovation and say, I want to be creative in mind. Remember that there's no limitation in our minds. And I've always emphasized this, that many people will tell you, say for instance, they will say, but mathematics is very difficult and you cannot do it and so on. And that's a fallacy. That's a lie. Because many times, many people limit you by the number of people who never succeeded in a certain subject. But that cannot be a limitation for you as a young man, because you are to become an extraordinary young man of wisdom, integrity, and character. And through these principles that are kingdom principles, you're going to be like that. But think out of the box. Tell yourself, I'm not going to be limited by what people say. I'm not going to be limited by what people think. I'm going to be extraordinary, much more than what people limit me to be. And remember, that is very, very important. Foster creative solutions in your life. And I want to emphasize that everything that you do, it might be that it looks like a problem. There are things that come and look like problematic in your life. But I want to emphasize that those things that look like problems, there's always a solution in every problem. But you need to foster creative solutions. You need to find a creative way to solve the situation that you're in. You cannot sit and say, I failed and nothing will happen in my life. You're going to need to rise up above the challenges that you're facing and solve problems that you're faced with in a creative manner. Find a solution that is creative enough. You cannot fold your arms and say this is impossible because you've had somebody saying it is impossible. There's nothing impossible in this life, and I want to emphasize it again. There's nothing impossible because you've got the creative mind of God in you. You are the image of God, and you must display that image of God in you. If you want to become an extraordinary as a young man, I want you to adopt this mindset of saying you are the image of God, and therefore you can do that which seems possible to man, because with God it is possible. So I want you to adopt that mind. And when you do that, you'll foster what we call creative solutions in every situation that you're faced with. There's no impossible problem in life. Every problem has got a solution. And if you're faced with a mountain, you can either climb the mountain, you can either go around the mountain, you can either remove the mountain. There's ways to solve the situation in front of you. And I want to end up here today, your host, Micornus Phokane, the leader and the founder of Young Men Empowerment Forum. I hope that you've learned this part 8 today that you've listened to. These 8 principles, I hope that you've learned out of that. You'll become different. You'll become somebody that people look up to. You'll be a classy young man, extraordinary, that people are looking at you with awe, and people are actually surprised about what kind of a man you are. But it is because you are adopting the principles and you are applying them in your life and becoming a better person. Allow me, just before I check out, to remind you of our social media platforms, our Facebook page, Micornus Phokane, Young Men Empowerment Forum. So please like those pages, follow us there. Make sure that you follow us as well on our YouTube channel. Just subscribe and click notification buttons so that you may be reminded when we've posted videos of this kind. Don't forget our TikTok account for our young listeners and viewers. And I've seen that you started following us. So please invite your friends to follow us. Yeah. And you will learn quite a bit. Young men that want to become extraordinary. So invite them on this platform as well so that they can learn out of that. Allow me to check out right here and say cheers for now.